Welcome to Selling Point. Today, let's talk about how to make it rain referrals. I think everybody that has been in sales any length of time has figured out that referrals are either the or one of the best prospect sources that you can have. And the reason I say that is the fact that when you're running a referral, you're having somebody who has experienced your product or your service, they're satisfied with it, and they're recommending you to a friend or a business associate or a relative or a neighbor. And with that in mind, typically you don't have a lot of competition there. But as you already know, when you get a company lead, then that's a jump ball. I mean, you're going to have 2, 3, 4 companies that have been called in because either the business or the home that you're calling on, they're going to try to get the best price, the best service, the best conditions, whatever it is that they're looking for. And the best way they know how to do that is to make a comparison. So you can cut out a lot of that noise if you'll learn how to become an expert at working referrals. I feel like that I'm one of those folks because back last century, for 12 years, I worked in financial services as a self-employed person, and therefore I had 0 leads. I had nothing going on unless I stirred it up myself. So it was either cold call, and who wants to do that much, or learn how to work referrals. And so I did that, and I survived for 12 years and actually thrived. I made a really, really good income during that period of time. And so I feel like I can talk to you here today from the standpoint of somebody who's done it, and maybe you can pick up an idea or two that will help you do the same thing. As a matter of fact, statistically, if you look at all sales from studies that I have read, that anywhere between 1/2 and 2/3 of all sales come as a result of a referral or a recommendation from someone. And so that's just too good of an opportunity to not learn how to get good at. As a matter of fact, one company that I worked for, I remember a guy down in Florida that was the #1 sales guy in his branch, and all he worked was referrals. Even though he had a lead territory, every time a lead would come into his territory, he would tell the manager there, he would say, "Hey boss, give that lead to a new guy. He needs it worse than I do, because all a lead is to me is just an interruption to a well-planned day." And so he really had a philosophy of nurturing and developing and working referrals, and ended up was the best sales guy in the location as a result of doing that. So let me give you several different opportunities and hints that you can use, considering the fact that, a lot of times if you do think about asking for a referral, most people will say, "Well, I can't think of anybody, but if I do, or if I find somebody that needs what you got, I'll sure look you up. I've got your card." Well, you know what that means. That's a dead end. And so let's talk about several things. Here's kind of an antidote to that. On your initial sales call with somebody, the first time you go to see them, whether it's a B2B call or whether it's a residential or a person-to-person call, then position yourself for referrals by simply saying, in your own words, something along the lines of, "Well, before we get started, let me just share this with you. The way I make my living is by satisfying customers and them being happy enough with what I've done and with what I've sold them that they're willing to recommend me to someone else." And so what I want from you is certainly, I want an opportunity to get your business and to make you happy. But also, if you become a customer and if you're satisfied, and I know you will be, will you commit to me that after all that's done, that you'd be willing to recommend me to 2, 3 other folks or other businesses, depending on where you are, in order to help me to continue to do what I do for a living. And so the point is, if you position yourself that way, then when you come back to try to get referrals, then you won't get so much jazz about, well, I can't think of anybody or I don't know of anybody, because I would always say what I just told you, but then I would always say, well, go ahead and start be thinking about some folks that may have the same issue that you have or the same need that you have, and because I know that I'm going to make you happy. And so you've got that planted in their mind from the initial call. And then once you make them a customer and you've sold them your service or your product, and you have that worked, and so your service department's gone out there and done an installation, or they've done a completion, or the product's been delivered, whatever it is that you're selling, then what you want to do is you want to recontact them. Now, you've already told them that you're going to come back, and what I would always was tell them is the truth, was say that what I want to do is after we get the completion done or the installation done, then I want to come back and I want to check the job, because I want to make sure that it's done to our company standards and our industry standards. And then I want to look you in the eye and see you say that you're satisfied, that you're happy. And I would think that's what you want. And so having already said that, when you end up going back, you make a call and you say, hey, Mr. Customer, this is Doug. And so I want to set up a time that I can come back by, like I told you, and I want to recheck the job, and I want to make sure that everything is correct according to your satisfaction. And so you set a time for that, and then before you hang up, make sure that you say, now you remember we talked earlier about you, if you're happy, recommending me to some other folks. I hope you've been thinking about that, but if you haven't, put your thinking cap on, because that's something that I also want to talk to you about when I come back. So that's sort of the second step in that process. The third step is when you come back. Do what you said you were going to do and go check the job, check the product, check the installation, whatever has transpired there, and then come back and you'll secure the referrals. And if you have difficulty with a customer, because still sometimes they're going to say, well, I can't think of anybody, then use what I call a frame of reference. And hopefully when you initially showed up there, that you kind of got some common ground with them, and you found out a little bit about what this homeowner or what this business person, what they do. They coach a soccer team, or they go to the church down at the corner, or, whatever organizations or things that they do in their life. Bring those back up. And so, well, I understand you told me you were a soccer coach down at the YMCA. And so, what would be the top 2 or 3 folks down there that are coaches like you that would possibly need to know a guy like me, and it would be handy for me to have on hand. And so you sort of prime the pump a little bit with that frame of reference for those that can't think of anybody. I've had that happen, and when I've asked for that frame of reference based on around something that I knew that they did or were involved in, they would say, oh yeah, there is a guy down so-and-so, and they would move forward there. And so, again, the thing about securing those referrals is you got to remember that a referral, by that I just simply mean a name and a number, that is still nothing for you but a cold call. And so you don't want to make any more cold calls than what you have to. And so you want to pursue an introduction. So a referral without an introduction is a cold call. So not only secure the names and the numbers and a little bit about the person that they want to refer you or recommend you to, but then also ask them, what's the best way for you to recommend them to me? if you're selling residentially, it might be a neighbor, and they might ring them up while you're there and say, hey, poke your head out the door. I got a guy I want you to meet, or whatever that situation might be. If it's a business person, it's a business sale that you made. You may want to turn around and with them you might want to say, well, what's the best way for you to refer? You want us to meet for brunch or meet for coffee at Starbucks, and then you can introduce me and we'll talk about it there. So whatever you're doing, you make those suggestions to try to make things a little bit easier for you. And so once you've done that, and then your job is to go out and see those referrals. But these referrals, there's been a seed planted in the ground by your existing customer that's already said good things about you and what you market. And so that's the best way for you to develop secondary and tertiary sales after you've made a primary sale, that you begin to sell then by multiplication and not sell by addition, where you have to simply go out there one at a time. I got to go find somebody else to go see. I sell them. I got to go find somebody else to go see. So the fourth and final step, very simply, is just to rinse and repeat. Every time you sell a new customer, you want to do that same drill with them. And again, 100% of the people won't do that. They never did for me, but it wasn't because I didn't ask. So a lot of times, we don't have because we don't ask. And so that's my selling point for you for today. And if you've got a copy of my book, or if you haven't, sell is not a four-letter word. Starting on page 244, I talk about strategies about referrals for person to person, for residential, for getting recommendations, for getting testimonials, for getting commercial referrals. And so starting on 244, you can read about those and learn something a little bit deeper than we had time to talk about today. So have a great selling week.